Boat life means boat jobs.
And big dreams mean hard work.
So after I ship Slim off to the mines, we're back on Nakama with a whole list of upgrades and repairs that need doing.
This is the boat job extravaganza. The clock is ticking, and if we don't get going soon, we're going to be battling into headwinds the entire way down Australia's wild western coast.
So let's get into it. Last week we ticked off getting a new tiller and upgraded our anchor. This week we're doing a complete communications upgrade, as well as some navigation repairs, which means I will be spending most of the week dangling at the top of the mast. My butt is so numb. We're going to kick it off by installing Starlink. That is satellite internet, just in case you didn't know. Starlink! It's something that we've been talking about for a very long time, but we've been completely out of range to be able to get it sent to us. So we are here in Darwin, and of course on the top of the list is installing a Starlink to hopefully make our lives a little bit easier going forward into Western Australia, especially because it's even more remote than it was sailing the Northern Territory coastline. Being full-time uni students, it's sometimes not so ideal sailing around Australia, but hopping between internet hotspots, we've somehow made it work.
Now this is the type of place to do a law degree.
However, rushing through internet black holes with assignment deadlines looming can sometimes make this adventure pretty stressful. We're on a bit of a mission. We need to get to Darwin. We've got exams and assignments looming just around the corner, and we're kind of stressed and freaking out about those. So thanks to Elon Musk and this satellite dish, that stress should hopefully minimize. Simon's actually already spent about like 3 days trying to figure out how we want to install it, where to put it, where to put other things, because where we want to install it, there's aerials, so we need to figure out where those are going to go because there's not enough space for both of those things. So the setup includes the Starlink dish, the portable base, the cable, and the router, which is also the power supply for the dish.
It's a pretty simple setup other than running the cables, but this is the dish. It just needs full line of sight at the stars. Twinkle, twinkle. And then it all runs into a kind of space age looking modem, which is the power source as well. So simple install, 2 components. Only nightmare is the cabling was not thought of. They thought of how to, hundreds of satellites up in space. Could have made the cabling a little bit easier.
Slim's frustrated with the cable as the connections seem to be unnecessarily bulky.
All the connections are like this.
And while they look cool, it makes it difficult to run through the tight spaces we have.
Like that means we're gonna have to drill holes like this.
But having the internet wherever we are will be worth adding a few more holes in Nakama. The best spot we have on the boat, free from obstruction and with a good line of sight to the stars, is above the bimini here. Which means it's time to say goodbye to our ornamental radar.
This radar, while it's always looked really good up here and made us look like a pretty savvy boat, has, excluding one night, never worked. I got this thing working for one night, and then I think it honestly overheated and shut itself because it hadn't turned on in 10 years. But finally getting around to taking it off. We're thinking we might mount the Starlink here, although that's causing issues with these aerials here.
While this location is a great spot for the Starlink, it's not exactly a great spot for getting access to. Slim's precariously balancing on our ginormous swim ladder as a work platform.
Are you able to grab that? Have you got it?
So as both the Starlink and the VHF and AIS aerials won't all fit together here, after much deliberation we've decided this is the kick up the arse we need to finally mount these aerials at the top of the mast. So the next step is removing these aerials and mounting the Starlink base.
Aerials are coming down.
So we decided to relocate the VHF and the AIS aerials that were previously on the top of the bimini there. We'll get better reception and also now have room for the Starlink to be on the top of the bimini.
It's fairly straightforward, apart from, as we mentioned, running the cables. We've widened an existing hole in the transom to fit the connection through, and we've filed back the excess plastic in order to fit up this stainless pole. And now, for the moment we've all been waiting for.
Do you want to tell them?
Not really.
We have not had the best luck today. I don't know what we've captured of it, but it's sort of been a nightmare day. Sort of just like spent the whole day around trying to get the cable properly in that stainless pole to make it look neat and presentable. However, after a couple of hours of trying to make it fit through there, it didn't work and we gave up on the idea, and we just decided we'll just do it dodgy and zip tie the cable instead, like we've done with these ones. Anyway, then we went to try and like finally plug it in, and then the cable fell out of the Starlink, out of the dish and into the water. So the dish is up there, but I think we're gonna have to order a new cable.
Alright, long story short, we dropped the cable in the water. We did thoroughly clean it out with contact cleaner, and you'd think it could survive a splash of water, but we plugged it all in and nothing happened. We figured we'd buggered the cable, but we don't have the time luxury of waiting around, so in case it was one of the other components, we just ordered a whole new setup. They were on sale and the whole setup was about $40 more than a replacement cable alone and came with free postage. Turns out, in the end, when the new box arrived, that we just fell victim to one of Elon Musk's not so funny practical jokes. We're about $1,500 in the hole and Miles has scored himself a free Starlink.
Cheers, guys!
I tried to explain it in real time here, but I was so stressed, pissed off and annoyed that it ended up being like a 5-minute rant, but Soph will get the bits that make sense and cut them out for you here. We couldn't get it working. Last night we got a new one because I was over it. I just ordered a whole new system. Went to plug it in, it still wasn't coming up. It says connect to the Starlink, but Elon Musk's called it Stinky for some reason. Now, I don't know why I didn't know this, but the network, it says to connect to Starlink, it's called Stinky. We're in a marina where motorboats we call stink boats. So I fully just assumed that Wi-Fi network was one of the 100 motorboats in the marina. It never, why on earth that ever would have occurred to me that Stinky meant Starlink. That is not a connection I made. So now I think we just weren't connecting to our other one because we didn't know what it was called, and there's nothing wrong with our other dish. So I've got a spare Starlink, so it's going to be Christmas for Miles or something.
So basically, learn from us. If you think your Starlink isn't working, check for the Wi-Fi connection Stinky. Anyway, after all that, we finally installed a working Starlink.
Sweet.
Bloody Elon Musk. So it's time to send me up the mast to install a new aerial, and while I'm up there, do a repair job. It is a good day to go up the mast.
It's a cracker of a day.
It is a cracker of a day to go up the mast.
There's never a good day to go up the mast. I woke up this morning nervous and I'm not even the one going up the mast. I just hate it. Well, that's a bit loose, isn't it, for you?
Some of you may be upset at us to know that we haven't had an anchor light for a long time. It was working until about like halfway through the season, and then it stopped working. But today is the day that we are going to try and fix it. You also might know that Simon's scared of heights.
I'm not scared of heights. I could do it if I was scared. I am petrified of them.
The first step in fixing a dud anchor and tri-light is climbing to the tallest point of your boat and inspecting the situation. Yep. Alright, we are up. It would be an absolute win today if I put this multimeter to the wires and see 12 volts coming through. Okay, what the So I just somehow like pushed that and now it's working. I don't know if you can see that. That's a working anchor light. I'm stoked that there's actually power getting up here, because that means we don't have to rewire anything in the mast, which, as we learned when we installed our wind and anemometer, feeding wires through the mast is a massive pain. So it must be just stuck on something. I so wish they made bosun's chairs just a little bit comfier, hey? Like, my butt is so numb. It doesn't take long either. All right, there's power going in, but it's a bit like on and off. We're just gonna change the whole thing because this whole setup is very ancient. But of course, all the bolts are seized. Okay, up the top of the mast. Once again, we realized last time that the anchor light, going up. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Okay, last time we deemed that the old anchor light was completely corroded on, so we had to get a grinder to it. So that's what I'm up here doing today. I'm gonna try and, or this afternoon, I'm gonna try and grind this old anchor light off so we can get a new one on there. Let's do it. This is actually a lot harder than it looks. Holy fuck. I'm using basically every muscle in my body. My legs to keep me wrapped around the mast, my abs as I lean back, and my arms. Oh, my spaghetti-like arms, trying to hold this tool above my head and apply pressure to cut through the old stainless steel bolts. I can only do this for so long. Oh man, this is brutal. Which brings me back up the mast the following afternoon. I've got my Need for Steez goggles on. They're actually good for protection, sun protection, as well as metal protection. Day 2 of trying to get this, no, day 3 of trying to get this anchor light off. Now, I know I might not get the best shots up here for you guys, but just know that I'm trying my hardest while the GoPro's on my head, and I'm trying to hold myself up here as well as use tools like this one. So I really am trying. I'm sorry if the shots aren't great. I have one last bolt to get off. Here, these two I think they're done. Just have this guy on the front, so we'll try and get that done. Both jobs require a lot of persistence and patience, but eventually, there's no doubt you'll get there. Oh, did it, finally. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you can see Simon down there. Huh? One old anchor light removed. That was a lot harder than it probably looked. We're losing light, so I don't have enough time to install the new light, but what I can quickly do is install our new VHF aerial. While I'm up here, I'm gonna try and start mounting this aerial. We've decided to buy a small mast whip antenna, as installing our old 1.8 meter and super heavy aerials would have been ridiculous up here. Although this aerial can fit on the side of the mast like this, there is space on this bracket, so to avoid drilling more holes in the mast, it will mount nicely here. We're going to put it on this aluminium arm that we've already got things on. Hopefully it's going to fit right next to here, next to the... I forgot what that thing's called. And then also, this should just make it around if I get it right. And it's also a good distance from the selfie aerial. But the soul is full of mercury. I want to 20 feet from BBC. How many pieces of plastic in the tennis? I hope this makes you see. Ow, 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 ow. Sorry, heads, that was really hot. Did that, it didn't get you? No. Sorry, I just panicked and I should have warned you. Alright, that's a good example of why not to stand directly under the mast while someone is using tools overhead. However, with a hole drilled, it's as simple as plonking the new aerial in and fastening it in place. Cool. And while I'm done for the day, I'm not done at the top of the mast yet. We are up here once again. It's now time to install our new anchor light. Usually replacing light globes isn't that big of a deal, but I really don't want to drop this thing, as you might be surprised to know that this anchor and tri-light set us back a couple of $100. But hopefully it will last a few years in the elements. Alright, we are mounted. All we have to do is connect up the wires and we're good to go. I've got to say, wiring is not my strong suit. For me, it's like maths. It just doesn't compute. You can imagine how relieved I'll be if I got this to work without burning down the boat. Yeah. Please work. Yay! Yeah. Do the other one? Yeah. Yay! She's absolutely nailed it, folks. Oh, and now's probably a good time to say, if you're enjoying these boat jobs more than we are, and you look forward to us going into the Kimberley, then hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. Throw us a bone.
Another successful soap mission. I didn't want to jinx it, but we've got the light working in one session. I thought it was definitely going to be like an install the base and then get the wiring done session, but she's absolutely nailed it. Frothing. We only got one more mast duty now, which is running the new coaxial, but the day here is almost done, so that's going to be a future us problem.
You may have noticed that we took 2 aerials off and only installed 1 new one. This was because previously our AIS and radio ran off 2 separate aerials. Now they'll just be sharing the one. This is possible thanks to a little gadget called a splitter. Slim's installing this downstairs and has also prepped a new low loss coaxial cable long enough to reach the masthead. Day not too sure of going up the mast. It's basically my home up there. I don't even know why I bother coming down. My last duty up the mast is to plug this into the aerial and secure the cable down the backstay. We know this isn't ideal, but the conduit in our mast is full, so it's just gonna have to do. Almost there.
Soph reckons NASA's going to be able to track us in space now, but I was like, well, that was the whole point of the Starlink, so Elon Musk already was, so if the NASA wants to do it too, then so be it. But yeah, it's good having some comms up a bit higher, so we're not just like radioing people that we could yell at anyway. So pretty much was the case. Like, yeah, we couldn't radio much further than I could yell, so this will be nice.
I think we're done. Now I have to work out how I'm going to get down.
I reckon you let go and you just swing out and I'll catch her.
Oh my god. Everything alright? Done. How good's that? VHF, mostly done. Just needs plugging in on the other end. Then we're done. Cool as. So although installing Starlink didn't go quite to plan, we can report that it's now working like a dream. We've wanted to relocate our aerials for a long time, but it's always been pushed down our priority list, so we're stoked to finally have a greater range of reception. And as for our anchor and nav lights, no wonder the connections were corroded, as the casing had been pretty sun damaged over the years. It's been another productive week aboard Nakama, with a few more items ticked off the list.
So it feels like all the filming's all over the shop, but this is not season 3, not season 2 anymore, but this is the boat job extravaganza.
Anyway guys, thanks so much for tuning in. And a massive thank you to our patrons and sponsors. We wouldn't be able to make these upgrades without you, so honestly, you make this thing possible. You really do. But no, you truly, these videos and what we're doing wouldn't be possible without you, so a massive, massive thanks to you guys. And if you're really enjoying the episodes, consider becoming a patron, and you can also help make these videos possible. Alright, we'll catch you next week.